Welcome everyone to another episode of Jack of All Trades. I'm your host Jack Allen, and today we're going to be talking to two young ladies from Outreach Teen and Family Services. I hope you enjoy our show. All right, I'm here with Maggie Zingara and Logan Pierre, and they are from the Outreach Teen and Family Services, which has their office or a office 2 days a week in Bethel Park.
That's right.
So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself,
Sure.
and we'll go from there.
Sure, yeah. So thanks again for having us. I am a licensed professional counselor at Outreach Teen and Family Services and also the program manager because our organization is a nonprofit community-based counseling organization who serves the South Hills areas. We specialize in working with kids ages 5 to 21,
Okay.
as well as their families. So we like to focus on counseling services and then community-based programming focused around mental health and well-being. So it's fun. I get to have a dual role at Outreach and get to do a lot of great work.
Now your offices are in Mount Lebanon, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So our main office is located in Mount Lebanon, right on Washington Road in the executive building. We're on the bottom floor there.
And Logan?
Yeah, so my name's Logan. I am a licensed social worker, very close to getting my next letter at the end of my name. LCSW just means I'm a licensed clinical social worker. So that's coming down the pike. But I've been at Outreach for about 3 years now. I am a part-time therapist there. So I primarily work full-time with another organization and work with Outreach part-time. And I actually am the therapist who comes here to the municipal building and conducts therapy sessions with clients 2 days a week.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, because
Yeah.
I know you're here Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah, so I am usually here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, like after school hours, partially because I work full time and partially just because it's easier to schedule after school hours for kids. It takes that barrier away of having to get them out of school and having them miss things. So yeah, I'm here Tuesdays and Thursdays. Usually I conduct like 2 to 3 sessions per evening, just based on schedule time. I do individual sessions. I also work with some families. So I also have some families that I work with that I see siblings indivially. So I get like some interesting dynamics of like sometimes one sibling will tell me one thing and the other will tell me something else. So then I'm kind of in the position to figure out, okay, what's really going down here and how do we improve from here? So yeah, so whenever I'm here at Bethel Park, I see kids, I have some younger kids like elementary, I have some middle school, I have some high school, and I've got some families that I see here as well. The other thing too with mental health services that's important for our younger adults to know is at the age of 14, you can begin to consent for treatment on your own. So you do not necessarily have to have the consent of your parent. Now with that comes as well some privilege as far as the therapist goes, that we don't necessarily have to divulge any information to a parent as they're not the ones consenting to treatment. So from 14 and up, a child can consent and say, I need help and I want to reach out, and they can do that on their own. And here at Bethel, we actually have the great community and contract with the Bethel Park municipality that Bethel Park residents receive services free of charge. So that's yet another barrier.
Oh,
so if
okay.
there's a 14-year-old that comes in and, reaches out to our clinical director and says, I really would like services, I don't want my parents to know, but I can still get to the library. I can tell them I'm going to the library or things like that. We can make that happen, and there can be a sense of privacy as well.
Okay, that's interesting.
Also, I would say parents are predominantly the primary referral source. We also receive referrals from school counselors, as we like to make sure they're aware of our services, as well as like primary care physicians in the area as well.
Now, do you work with the school district itself or no?
We partner with the school districts with different like mental health screenings or different types of workshops. We also have a group-based intervention called the Body Project. So that is evidence-based for high school girls who are looking for ways to have a better relationship with food as well as their appearance. So it can be really helpful from increasing self-confidence and being empowering to really own ourselves.
Yeah. And how do they reach out, or how do you reach out to them to let them know that your organization is available to them?
So we definitely try to go to different like PTA meetings, as well as we have a lot of great contact lists and marketing through flyers, through our website, through our social channels, where hopefully we're getting the word out there that we're able to provide this different mental health and educational programming, really focused to help students do well in school. We know if someone's experiencing anxiety or is in a lot of distress, their brain isn't in the best place to learn and retain information to focus well. So our goal is to really help make sure that we're supporting them with their mental, physical, emotional well-being. So when they're at school, they can have they're set up for success to achieve all their hopes and dreams academically as well.
Okay. And you also, I saw on your website, you have a supporter program. Just tell us a little bit about what that is.
Sure. So the supporter program is really a way that we're hoping to engage with more of the community. So there's an individual supporter aspect where you can donate to outreach on a monthly basis. And that's a way that you can really support some of these subsidized counseling offerings that we're able to have. Or like Logan said, if a kiddo would like to receive counseling services without consent from a parent, we're able to make sure that that counseling fee isn't a barrier to them seeking care. There's also a program for communities to get involved in through the supporter program, and then that is a $240 yearly donation to help make sure cost isn't a barrier to anyone receiving.
In the municipality, Bethel Park, you said there's no cost to the clients that you have, correct?
Exactly. Zero cost. Bethel Park Municipality pays for the counseling services for families who are seeking care
Right, because
here.
I noticed that you did have a scale for payment and so on and so forth. But knowing that our residents, and do they have to be residents of Bethel Park, or can they come from South Park?
So we are happy to serve anyone located in the South Hills area. We predominantly see clients in person. Given the age range that we specialize in, we've noticed that seems to be the best fit for most of our clientele to really have those positive outcomes that we're working towards. We do, though, through our HIPAA compliant like EHR system, we're able to offer virtual sessions say if a client gets sick and they ask to have it virtually or
They
are
can do
unable
that.
for whatever reasons to find transportation to the office. But I would say mostly we see clients in person. Logan's here at Bethel Park Municipality Building, and then our clients from all over normally come to the Mount Lebanon office.
Okay. Well, since today is actually Tuesday,
Yeah.
you have hours here today.
Yeah, so I will be here from at 4 and 5. I have 2 sessions this evening. So I'm here and I'm staying here for a little bit.
Now, how long does it take people to, after they contact you, to get an appointment to actually come in to see you?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. The process is usually reaching out. We have a form on our website that might be the easiest for some. With that form, then our clinical director, Caitlin, reaches out, does like an initial referral process, just getting to know like, okay, what's happening and making sure that we're the best fit because we are not a crisis service. We are a little bit lower level of care. We are outpatient. So that means if we have any clients that are coming to us with active suicidal ideation, active, self-harm that could become a bigger issue, they might not be the best fit for us. So Caitlin kind of fields those conversations. And usually, I mean, I think our policy as clinicians is as soon as we get a client assigned to us, which would be like within a day or 2, that we're supposed to reach out within that like 1 to 2 days. And then it just depends on the counselor's availability of how quickly, but usually less than a month turnaround would be my experience personally.
Maybe a month to...
Less than that.
Okay.
Like usually, I mean, for me, especially my Bethel Park time here is quite limited as I do have quite a few clients here. It would probably be at least like 2 weeks before I could get somebody in the room. But again, like that's partially why we have that first initial phone call with our clinical director to make sure that we are the right fit. And I believe usually if we ever have any, like we haven't had a wait list in quite a while.
Yeah, we don't have a wait list,
which is great in mental health world. Pretty much anywhere you go, you have a wait list. So we haven't had a wait list in quite a while from my understanding. So again, it's a pretty quick process. If you reach out and you're a good fit for us and we can get stuff started, we get stuff started.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say how long, and I know it depends on the situation, but how long do people can people come back to you on a regular basis?
So we normally see clients weekly, every other week, or monthly, depending on their presenting needs and goals, therapeutic goals that we're working towards. So we work with the client, and that's really part of those first couple sessions are all about exploring where they're at and then creating some goals and objectives to help them get where they want to go. So those conversations would be expected to take place with their assigned counselor pretty early on. And then we always like to check in and reassess as well.
And you said the youngest, or the age group again, 5 till
21.
21.
Yes.
And so if a parent or family calls you up, they need your help. Do they usually come in as a family, or do they, typically just send the person to you and then maybe decide somewhere down the road, maybe we should be in this too?
It's a good question for sure. I think it depends on the family. There are definitely some clients that we're working with who it tends to be something that they personally want to work on or experiencing, say, low motivation towards getting their schoolwork and homework done. They sense they're withdrawing from their friends. Sometimes that's something that we like to work on with just the client, especially if they're not open to having their parents involved. Most of the time, I try to advocate that the family system is involved, at least to some degree, because we get the privilege of working with our clients for an hour, most likely once a week or every other week. Yeah, so a lot of that good work in counseling actually comes outside of the session, and you really want to make sure that the clients feel supported, have a support system around them to help them continue to achieve what they're working on in sessions.
So you do get referrals from the guidance counselors in the high school or middle school, what have you.
Yes.
And so, how does that work as far as they're obviously aware of the program, and then if it's a high school student, they would be 14, so they can come to you on their own with a recommendation from possibly the counselor, and and the parents have nothing to do with that. They can do that on their own.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep, that's true. I would say normally the school counselors let the parents know that they have referred their child.
Okay, well.
Yeah, we want to try to create as much transparency and a care team as possible. I would say mostly that's pretty standard. Of course, there might be some exceptions to that where a client is really interested, a 14-year-old's really interested in counseling services and maybe their parents aren't on board. That would be a time where we would start working with the client, but I would always try to promote some communication with the parents, for sure.
So we had mentioned before about our police department. Is that something that you work with police departments, or is it something that we can do here in Bethel Park to help you?
Yeah.
Because believe me, I have 7 grandkids that are all above 5 and below 21. So, but is that something that the police department could work with you on, or even the local judge?
I definitely think there's opportunities there.
Yeah.
We know the police are so integral to making sure that the community stays safe. And we do work with Mount Lebanon Police Department.
Okay.
They sometimes send referrals, as well as the fire department, if there's any risky behaviors they're noticing that kids or teenagers are experiencing. So we're always open to making sure that we are a referral line for those first responders. We can also provide different programming for helping professionals and really for anyone that works in direct contact with kids and teens to make sure they're trained and equipped to understand mental health, some of the common signs, and ways to support somebody going through a distressing time. So
we have no social workers in Bethel at this point. The social workers are on the county level.
Gotcha.
But is it something that you did say you work with the Mount Lebanon Police, but at this point, nothing local here for our police department, correct?
Yeah, I would say correct.
Yeah. I think it's something that could be a wonderful opportunity.
Sure.
And I don't know. Personally, I would think that would be a great opportunity. Like Maggie said, our police are so integral in keeping our community safe. And if we can help support that in any way possible, why wouldn't we?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I do talk to officers, when we had the Dairy Queen, it was like, oh yeah, this person, they become a problem to us. And of course the police, we know that.
Yeah.
So, they do know or possibly know who could use your services, but we never really got involved to that aspect of it yet.
Yeah. I think, too, you mentioned the judge, and I don't want to make you talk about something, Maggie, but Project T&D.
Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about. Thanks, Logan. So we also have another program called Project T&D. So that's our drug and alcohol prevention program. There also is another, I'd say, piece of the curriculum that addresses violence and aggression for high schoolers ages 14 through, I believe it's 21 as well. It falls well in line with our population that we serve. So we offer that basically monthly at our office. It's for 3 consecutive Saturdays in a row. And really our participants who are involved in that group learn healthier ways to cope with things that they're experiencing, and really learn how to problem solve and use some of their just cognitive coping abilities to really help them find some healthier alternatives than to use drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
So it's a very intervention-based programming. We really want to help them kind of shift to a healthier lifestyle.
Okay. So now we can get our police involved and possibly the local judge.
Yeah.
Any other programs that you have that you like to tell us about?
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot of great programs. We really try to make sure we're hitting all of our target populations. So we have programming for children and teens. We also, it's important at outreach that the youth voice is being represented. So we have a peer-to-peer group for high school and college students called the Outreach College Crew, where they're able to really learn about mental health and how to support someone who maybe they see on campus or at high school going through a tough time. And then there's also part of that is our youth-led podcast called Teens Tap In, where they're the hosts and they create relevant podcast episodes on mental health topics that are common for high school and college students to be experiencing.
I mean, I would imagine that, when you get, well, especially girls, because that's all we have, they go from the teen years, well, once they hit their 13 or 14, they don't know if they're a little kid anymore, they're not ready, and I'm sure they have a lot of things going on in their mind that they probably need help with, but maybe a lot of them don't seek help.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point. There's a lot of transitions that happen from the age of 5 to 21. There's a lot of new experiences. I mean, if you think about 5, okay, you're going into kindergarten. 21, you might be graduating college. Like, there's a lot of things that happen in that time, and there's a lot of new and scary and complicated and stressful things that happen. I think, and I've said it to a few clients, so I am going to say it here as well. I personally, my bread and butter is young girls with anxiety, because I've been there. And I love talking, not that I love that they're experiencing anxiety, right? But I love speaking with them and hearing their perspectives and seeing, okay, when I was in a similar situation, this is something that worked for me. Or I know of people that have gone through something similar. And sometimes even just hearing that is helpful, knowing that you are not alone.
Right.
Most likely anything that you've gone through, somebody has experienced something similar. It might not be the exact same,
Right.
but likely something similar, and you're not alone.
Right.
And being able to speak about it is the first step.
Yeah, and I would think that, if it were a young girl that's 13, it's like, wow, someone actually has had the same situation that I have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it can even be maybe a smidge more transformative hearing it from your counselor, right? Like we're humans too, and we can experience tough times with our mental and emotional health as well. Mental health is something we all have. So let's come together and start meaningful conversation instead of try to avoid it and try to be perfect.
So how has, that's a good point, how has social media affected today's climate?
Yeah, I think, I think around the last time that we filmed this, actually, I had done a presentation at the Mount Lebanon High School about that exact topic. And prior to doing that presentation, I directly spoke with some of my clients. Obviously, in the presentation, I did not include any of their personal information.
Sure.
But a lot of them had a lot of compelling statements about social media. One in particular that I remember a client telling me is about like Instagram and social media and posting things and choosing the right picture. They had used the words, well, why should I post that? I'm not pretty enough. Like feeling that they would have people judging them saying, okay, well, that picture's not amazing. Why did you post that? Why did you take the time to post that? But in reality, I try and myself and for my clients, because I am kind of young still. I did grow up with some social media, so there's growing to do with it. Growing with it and trying to see it as more of like a scrapbook. You know, like in the olden days, we had scrapbooks where we had everything. We arranged it.
Well,
we made it pretty.
You don't remember the scrapbooks.
My mother made so many scrapbooks.
Oh, your mother did, of
My
course.
mother did. They're all in my basement.
Okay.
But, you know, we had
digital
scrapbooks.
scrapbook
Yeah, and you
now.
share scrapbooks. It is like a digital scrapbook now.
Yeah.
So it needs to be, and it's hard to do that, to change it in your mindset of this is for me. And I think that's a complicated point to make with a lot of young kids and teens of this is it can be for you. It doesn't have to be for somebody else.
Well, so, I mean, you're both still young. How much has it changed when you first got into counseling versus what it looks like today? Or has it changed?
Yeah, I would definitely say COVID and the way that social media is now used I've definitely seen a shift in mental health trends. I still really am pretty passionate with saying, like, we all experience mental health and we'll all experience it in a very individualized way. But I do think some of these cultural or societal just realities do definitely impact many lives. I have definitely, since COVID and social media, just seen an increase really in like social anxiety and emotional dysregulation. Just very difficult to tolerate new experiences, pretty moderate to severe anxiety, like doing something like this, like talking to an adult. I hear a lot of my clients say it's incredibly challenging to order food or pick up the phone and make a phone call. So I've seen it really from that social lens, the interpersonal lens. There seems to be a lot of mean behavior towards friends.
So what can we do as Bethel Park? What can we do to help you do your job better?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking that. That feels nice to be asked.
Yeah.
I think definitely just continuing to promote our services and programs where our mission is truly just to help children, teens, and families thrive. Like Logan mentioned earlier, we're a low level of care counseling organization. So we want to be as preventative and proactive as possible so people can live really healthy and happy lives and families can be really just united and come together. We think that's ultimately how healthy communities are formed. So you don't need to be experiencing anxiety for 2 years before you reach out to us. We want you, the first time you feel a little, noticeably upset or sad for a couple days, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. If you notice some family tension or arguments that keep coming up, reach out to us. We're here to help.
Okay.
So.
And how would they reach out to you? Your website, your phone number?
Yep. So I would recommend going right to our website, outreachteen.org, and we have a phone number you can call. If that doesn't feel comfortable, we have an info contact form you can fill out, and then we also have all of our forms if you're looking for a specific counseling service or group counseling program.
Which is all confidential, of course.
Yes, yes. We maintain our confidentiality to the highest ethical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as I mentioned before, that maybe something with the police department, and we could certainly talk to them.
Yeah.
And the judge or whatever we can do to help you, help the kids that need help.
Yes.
So.
Well, I want to thank you too. This in and of itself,
Oh my
I
gosh.
feel like is doing that. It's us speaking about something that is hard to speak about, and breaking that stigma. And I think as a community that could be one of the strongest things to do.